Let's talk about a Sesame Street live show that promotes inclusivity. No, not that one, or that one. I'm talking about Make a New Friend. The 2013 Sesame Street live show that was kind of good, but it ran for 4 years. The show is popular for being the first show where Matt Vogel voicing Count Von Count, making him voice Count in 4 Sesame Street live shows, and Ryan Dillon taking over the role of Elmo when the amazing Kevin Clash decided to resign. You know, I found it interesting that Kevin Clash voiced Elmo and Hoots in his first Sesame Street live tour, Sesame Street Story, Let's Be Friends, and his last being Can't Stop Singing. But for me, this felt like the first traditional Sesame Street live in a long time, not following the format of an episode, but instead an actual musical. There were no forced-in segments like Elmo's World or Letter and Number of the Day. And that's good. The writer of this show is Christine Ferraro, who is responsible for Elmo Saves Christmas, Elmo's Musical Adventure, Peter and the Wolf, a video which I loved as a child, until a pink blog told me to visit Sesame Street website and generic text, and 2 other Sesame Street live shows, Can't Stop Singing and Let's Dance. Can't Stop Singing was a great start for her, the return of Hoots and the introduction of Murray, and the only tour adapted from an episode. And Let's Dance being one of my least favorites that she wrote because of its jumbled storyline, least use of Big Bert, and 2 unnecessary human hosts. We could have had a show where Zoe spoke again, but HTATs for another video. This show is by far one of my favorites and the best Sesame Street live has to offer. So let's get into it. First of all, this is the only Sesame Street live show where a character from an international version of Sesame Street appears. This show also incorporates more of the classic characters and give them a major role like Oscar, Bert and Ernie, Cookie Monster and the Count. And even though I like Elmo, I'm glad he isn't forced as the main focus. This is Sesame Street, a team effort. I also loved how they explore female and female friend types instead of just boy and girl friendships and boy and boy friendships. I'm glad they were able to show that no matter what gender you are, friendships exist. And speaking of females, we've got the return of Lulu. Well, sort of something like Lulu. The character is Evie, who is a medium understudy in the show who resembles a certain Stephanie Bruzzo character from the early 2000s and faded into obscurity. I remember watching kids' favorite songs too and wondering to myself, who is that indigo monster? Where was she even from? But speaking of understudies, we've got a hanker in the show. Well, one of the most. And I'm glad they didn't use Purple Hanker, because I have nothing against Purple Hanker, it's just that it feels like VStar uses purple as their go-to hanker. Now onto the show. Well, just the main highlights. The show starts with Oscar greeting the audience worried that it's someone from Sesame Street. Which leads us to the opening number. Grover then gets a call from Chamki stating that she is visiting Sesame Street for just 1 day, in which he then tells everyone through song. 'Cause we gotta go camping. No wait, that's not right. Anyways, after that song from Big Bird's Sunny Day Camped, Grover shows Count Von Count's his list, which he is then invited to count all the things on it. Which leads into the next musical number, 2 Is You and Me, a classic song by Joe Respote from the 1970s which was redone for recent years with Elmo and Abby. And I guess Baby Bear, Telly, Bert and Ernie joined in on this live show version. After that, Chamki arrives to Sesame Street and Grover is excited to see her. Then Oscar comes in and tells her to get lost. Get lost! Grover then tries to cheer Chamki up by telling her she is special. And a thing I love about the show is how each of the little pieces of dialogue eventually led into a song so fluidly. But the problem I have is how the heck did they get a disco ball to float aimlessly through the sky? Never mind. Anyways, Chamki then meets everyone else through a song from Singing Time, which was a missed opportunity to use the Weta Weta name game from another Sesame Street live show, Let's Play School. Heck, they already use telephone talk, so why not? Then Baby Bear tells Chamki about the things they do on Sesame Street, which involve singing, doing, and saying the alphabet all at once. They then decide to reuse ABC Hip Hop from Ready for Action to pay homage to the show that used the same stage before. Chamki then explains to them how similar Sesame Street is to her home in Gali Gali Sim Sim, but continues to explain how different it is too. Then Cookie Monster gets excited about the cookies she brought, so he starts singing I want candy, I mean cookie. Cookie Monster then takes the cookies, leaving everyone to leave except Abby and Chamki, explaining how nice everyone has been, and how they're both unique through a song that they sing called Kids with Wings, which is one of the earlier Abby songs. Elmo and Ernie come in and remark how they haven't seen Cookie Monster and probably won't see him until the start of the second act. He's probably off on a mission with the smart cookies, so that's a valid reason in this time period. Rosita and Big Bert come in as if they didn't appear in the first half or have a major role. Rosita then explains to Chamki that she is from another country like her. so they take the time to learn different words in their respective languages altogether. They then sing no matter what your language is, seen in Out of This World, complete with the backdrop they used. Boy, they were really proud of the one word they. And the thing I find surprising is how they use the show for the older references, despite it's based on a typical season 33 episode and its predictable song choices. An impatient Grover returns to get ready for his playdate with Chamki and his very long list. Until Rosita and Abby invite them to play together, and by playing they meant watching Count Von Count's Bruno Mars impersonator concert, which ends at first act. And when the second act starts, Elmo, Rosita, and Cookie Monster invite everyone to do the Elmo slide, which gained popularity since its release. I know Elmo something usually starts the second act, but I'm thankful they gave more characters things to do, instead of watching Elmo chase down a computer. Chamki then tells them how dancing is another thing they do on Sesame Street. Cookie Monster gives her a witty comeback by saying how they burst into song for no apparent reason. After that, Bert wants to show everyone how he dances by doing the Pigeon to Maroon 5, the halftime show Traders. Cookie Monster and Telly join in too along with Chamki. And then confetti happens at the end. I wish. I like that they acted confetti in more than one place, but they put it at a place nobody expected. After the song, Chamki decides to invite everyone to dance like her as a special surprise for Grover. At the expense of Grover, he can't play with Chamki because of the surprise. Elmo then feels left out along with Grover. Grover then sings Hot and Cold with Elmo, which is super since that whole Katy Perry segment being cut from season 42. The thing I love about this number is how transparent the curtain is during the actual song, showing Abby and Chamki being friends, having a good time, while Grover laments on missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Count Von Count comes in and counts Grover's list. Again, Bert and Ernie then sing about the struggles of having different interests and still liking each other through the song But I Like You, giving me vivid flashbacks from Sesame Place's Dine With Me. Chamki comes back showing Cookie Monster, Telly Monster, and Abby Cadabby about the dance they're about to learn and the culture behind it. They then lead into a dance number that is mostly instrumental, celebrating the culture of India the way they would. A hand-painted backdrop with blinking lights. And even though it's a cool kind of backup, they didn't have to go the extra mile and put lights all over it. And Elmo states that there was an elephant in the room, which Abby states he just missed. Elmo then replies that he didn't miss it, implying that sometime during that number the elephant had to, never mind. Elmo then states that Abby forgot all about their playdate, which reminded me of a Spenrilla number called Whatever Happened to My Part. Abby reassures Elmo that even though Chamki is her friend, Abby still has a place in her heart for old friends. And by old friends she means friends that literally wore a pair of sneakers only for his Sesame Street Live debut in 1987 and never wore them again. Also, the fact that they had Cookie Monster play Kelly in the song just made it 10 times better. While the Elmo and Abby plotline is resolved easily, Grover is not easily ready to give up on his list by disguising as Super Grover, which means he could easily pull off all of the things on his list at warp speed. Chamki then tells Grover that the fact that he invited her to Sesame Street made her feel special, more than being a superhero could. This then leads into a remake of A Beautiful Day with a Friend. After that, everyone returns to do the surprise dance for Grover to Rocky Road. Grover is then pleased by that Grover does the things on his list after the finale. They throw balls into the audience, wave goodbye, confetti shoots, and then
so scram!
Diversity and inclusion is acceptable and a good thing, but if done right, it's impactful to lives. That is what Make a New Friend does. It tells a compelling story, he's diverse, and respects the fans as any franchise should. The scenery in the show, amazing, the performing, excellent, and the music, pretty amazing. And even though it's amazing, it still has its faults. Since it focused on classic characters, I felt like Big Bird could have been utilized a little more. He coddled Venom the moves like Jagger scene showing everyone how to dance like birds. But at least they didn't do it like they did with Grover in January 2, 2003. Imagine, and gave him a couple more lines and verses and songs. But on the bright side, it was interesting to see a character from a different Sesame Street in a Sesame Street Live show. And that's why a show like Make a New Friend teaches us about diversity, inclusion, and out of this world existing as a show.